A construction worker befriends a troubled teen and introduces him to martial arts. As his mysterious and dangerous past catches up to him, he is forced into a life-and-death struggle to clear his name, save the boy, and get back all he left behind. The movie opens with the protagonist, Bryant, remembering the time his wife was tortured. He looks at her photo while washing the dishes. Later, he goes outside to train his body and martial arts. While Bryant trains, a boy named Oscar observes from a distance, copying his moves. After a while, Oscar leaves and heads to his class. Meanwhile, Bryant proceeds to work, surveying the land. After class, a group of gangsters tails Oscar, attempting to extort money from him. Fortunately, he manages to lose them by hiding behind a parked car. Oscar witnesses the incident while eating in a cafeteria. Later that day, the gangsters, named L-17, invade Oscar's house and threaten him. They mention that Oscar is lucky because his brother is the captain of L-17. Left with no choice, Oscar hands over money to Eduardo, and they leave. The next morning, Oscar comes to watch Bryant train again, but he's nowhere to be found. Suddenly, Bryant appears behind him and invites him to join the training. Bryant begins training Oscar's physical body and teaches him the techniques of his martial arts. Day by day, morning by morning, they train together. One day, after their training session, Oscar finds a photo of Bryant's wife, but Bryant quickly snatches it away. During their usual training, L-17 arrives. Among them is Hector, the captain, and Oscar's brother. The two brothers greet each other as they haven't met in a long time. Hector notices Bryant and senses that he might be a cop. He tries to confront Bryant, but Oscar intervenes, suggesting they meet their mother and sister instead. Bryant advises Oscar to be cautious and leaves with them. The following morning, Oscar goes to a local gym to pursue his dream of becoming a professional fighter. There, he meets Marisol, the gym owner's daughter, and applies for a 5-month membership. In the evening, Hector and his group take Oscar to a bar. Oscar asks to go home, but Hector refuses and plans to take him gambling. They go to a match, where they watch and bet on the outcome. They witness a fighter known as the Collector easily defeat his opponents. The announcer states that anyone who can defeat the Collector will win a substantial amount of money. After the Collector defeats his last opponent, Oscar enters the ring to fight him. Hector is surprised and tries to stop him, but Oscar is determined. Oscar showcases the moves and techniques Bryant taught him, easily countering the Collector's attacks. Without a scratch, Oscar defeats the Collector, shocking the crowd who record videos of him. Hector stands up in astonishment and pride, realizing what his brother has achieved. Oscar walks away with a significant sum of money. The next morning, a lawyer named Piero plays golf with his friends and receives a call. The informant tells him and sends him a viral video, leaving him shocked as he watches. Piero immediately rushes towards Sonny Kilbane, a high-profile inmate. While Sonny is about to have a good time with a woman, the police inform him that his lawyer is looking for him. The two meet, and Piero shows him the video where Oscar fights the Collector. As they watch, they recognize Oscar's fighting style, similar to Bryant's techniques. It is revealed that Sonny is targeting Bryant and has hired the Guzman brothers to take him down. Meanwhile, Hector and the L-17 drive to see Bryant. When they arrive, Bryant becomes angry with them and questions why Oscar brought the L-17 with him. Hector then asks Bryant to train his brother and promises to pay him in return. Bryant refuses, but Hector tries to force Bryant to accept the offer by threatening him. Oscar intervenes, persuading Hector to let them speak in private. Oscar attempts to persuade and beg Bryant to continue training him, but Bryant still refuses. Hector hears Bryant's refusal and starts threatening him, showing his gun. Bryant pretends to surrender, then suddenly pulls out his own gun, pointing it at Hector. He orders Hector to put down his gun and enter his car. Bryant instructs Oscar to leave with them as well and never come back. The next morning, Hector signs up his brother at the gym to have the best trainer available. While doing so, the Guzman twins suddenly enter the gym and ask them about Bryant. Oscar becomes suspicious of them and denies knowing Bryant. The Guzman twins pretend to be promoters and attempt to deceive them. One of the trainers interjects, stating that he knows all the promoters and doesn't recognize the twins. The twins are bombarded with questions they can't answer, and they fail to deceive them, eventually getting kicked out of the gym. After they leave, Hector reveals that the twins are hitters. He recognizes them just by looking at them. Oscar becomes alarmed and tells Hector that they should inform Bryant. Hector initially refuses, but is later persuaded by Oscar. Together with Marisol, they go to Bryant's house. Bryant becomes angry when he sees them, but Marisol calms him down, and Oscar informs him about the twins. Upon hearing about the twins, Bryant panics and tells them to hide inside his house. Marisol and Oscar manage to hide inside the house first. Hector initially thinks Bryant is playing a joke on him. When a sudden gunshot kills his allies, he is almost caught in the crossfire, but manages to run toward Bryant's house. All of them manage to get into Bryant's house safely as the twins fire at them. Hector blames Bryant for involving them in his problems. Bryant reveals that he is a former cop. He took down their boss, and they have wanted him dead for years. Bryant also explains that he doesn't know how they found him. When Marisol hears what Bryant said, she realizes and tells them that they found him probably from the viral video of Oscar showcasing his techniques. Hector decides to call for his men, but Bryant disagrees and makes a plan instead. He orders Hector to look at the bulletproof window at 7:45. Bryant sneaks out of the house and flanks the twins. He waits for Hector to go in front of the window. When Hector's silhouette appears, one of the twins fires at him. Bryant seizes the chance and kills the other twin with a crossbow. The remaining Guzman attempts to pour gasoline on the house to burn it and them alive. Unbeknownst to him, his twin is already dead. While pouring gasoline, Bryant sneaks close and points the gun at him. The last Guzman becomes angry when Bryant tells him about his brother's death. He throws the gasoline tank at Bryant. They continue to fight in close combat. However, Bryant proves to be too skilled, subduing and defeating him. Bryant interrogates him by pouring the gas tank onto him. He refuses to tell Bryant Sonny's whereabouts and sets himself on fire with a lighter. Bryant returns to his house and tells the three that they should leave immediately because they are in danger. He leads them through a secret passage below his house and informs them about Sonny's criminal profile. Sonny has operated for many years, and Bryant is the only one who stopped him and sent him to jail. For that reason, Sonny, with much power and connections, seeks revenge. Sonny can't hurt Bryant, so he targeted Bryant's wife and beat her up. Fortunately, Bryant arrived and saved her. To keep his wife safe, Bryant told her to tell the police that he was the one who beat her so she could file for a divorce and live peacefully. Bryant then went into hiding in Mexico. As they part ways, Bryant gives them instructions and returns Hector's gun. After a while, a SWAT team, Sonny's men, come to breach Bryant's house. Bryant, a highly skilled police officer, takes them down one by one until there are only 3 left. Bryant sees them retreating, so he decides to spare their lives and lets them leave. The next morning, Hector returns to Bryant's place to check if he is okay. When he arrives with his men, there are no bodies around and the house is clean. Later, he meets with his brother and reports everything to him. He thinks Bryant is just fine and managed to defeat Sonny's men. Hector leaves and proceeds to inform the wives of his fallen men about their unfortunate fate. As he is about to leave, he and his men are attacked by the police officers, Bryant spared. The police officers attempt to interrogate Hector, but he insults them. They kidnap Hector and take him to an isolated place. The team tries to force answers from him, but Hector insists he doesn't know where Bryant is. The leader, thinking Hector is lying, orders one of his men to torture Hector by cutting his left ear. When the man is about to cut Hector's ear, a gunshot rings out, killing him. Bryant suddenly appears, mocking Hector for causing problems for him. While talking, Bryant shoots him in the head and kills the rest of his men. The remaining pursues Bryant with a machete as he runs away from them. They follow Bryant until they reach the top of the mountain. Exhausted, they attempt to catch up, but Bryant easily defeats them one by one. After a long wait, Bryant returns to Hector and frees him from his restraints. Meanwhile, Oscar and Mirasol go to Bryant's house to check on him. Suddenly, armored men appear and attack both of them. Oscar fights back, managing to defeat the first two assailants. The last man attacks him, and they exchange blows. The last man uses the same technique Bryant taught Oscar, but Oscar proves too skilled for him, nearly defeating him. The man stops and reveals that he is a friend. He tells Oscar Bryant's full name and explains that he is an ex-subordinate of Bryant. He claims he means no harm and reveals that Bryant is being pursued by the Nogales cartel. They want to unite with Bryant and fight alongside him. He starts asking Oscar questions to gather information about Bryant's whereabouts, but Oscar doesn't have much information either. Oscar then asks Davis to safeguard Mirasol and take her home. While inside Eric's vehicle, Oscar notices they are heading in a different route. He asks Eric where they are going, to which Eric responds that they are taking them to an undisclosed location. Mirasol immediately shares their GPS location, and Oscar tries to call Hector. He informs them of their coordinates and Eric's involvement. Bryant instructs Oscar on what to do and warns him not to trust Eric. Fortunately, Oscar manages to send their coordinates before Eric notices them talking and confiscates Oscar's phone. Bryant and Hector then discuss a plan where Hector pretends to be captured. After their discussion, they immediately drive toward Oscar's coordinates. Eric and Oscar arrive at Don Valdez's mansion, where Sonny's lawyer is also present. Eric tells Oscar that his brother is captured as well and being interrogated. Inside, Sonny's lawyer asks for Don Valdez's assistance to capture Bryant, but Don Valdez refuses to help. Eric brings Oscar inside and explains that Oscar is a close student of Bryant. He also proudly reveals that Don Valdez's men have captured Oscar's brother. One of Don Valdez's guards informs him that Bryant has killed 15 of his men and rescued Hector. Don Valdez realizes that Bryant only extracted Hector to gain information from them. He becomes angry and blames the lawyer for involving him. Don Valdez then orders his men to contact Hector and threaten him about his brother. They give a phone to Oscar and instruct him to contact his brother. Oscar texts his brother's phone with coordinates. At first, Hector is confused, but Bryant deciphers the numbers, realizing they are coordinates Oscar memorized earlier. Bryant and the L-17 discuss the plan and strategy to save Oscar and Mirasol. Eric notices the text message and questions Oscar about it. Oscar responds, saying it's their bro code, not realizing that he is giving away their coordinates. Eric orders Oscar to contact his brother, but Hector doesn't respond. After a while, the L-17, masked and armored, attacks the front of the mansion. They manage to take down some of Eric's men as they exchange gunfire. Don Valdez and the lawyer become alarmed and hide. They find refuge in the prison cell where Oscar and Mirasol are held. The lawyer suggests killing the two, considering them dead weight. He asks for a gun, but Don Valdez states he doesn't need one because he is a dead weight. After saying those words, he shoots and kills the lawyer. Don Valdez then plans to make Mirasol a prostitute and sell Oscar to pedophiles for money. He informs them of his plans before leaving. Meanwhile, Hector and Bryant finally arrive at the mansion. They breach through the guards and enter through a window. Bryant instructs Hector to stay and cover the window while he goes inside. As he goes deeper, guards spot him and pursue him. However, Bryant outmaneuvers them, killing them both. The L-17 also breaches the front entrance and pushes into the mansion. While they are fighting outside, Oscar breaks free and subdues the guard. After a few moments, Eric checks on Oscar. When he arrives, only Mirasol is present. Oscar suddenly attacks Eric from behind, and they engage in hand-to-hand combat. Oscar defeats him, but Eric grabs his gun and attempts to shoot him. Fortunately, Mirasol grabs a guard's gun and shoots Eric in both legs. Bryant hears the shots and Eric's screams, so he rushes towards them to check. They quickly exit to escape, but Don Valdez is waiting for them and opens fire. Bryant and the two take cover, but Don Valdez is about to shoot a grenade launcher at them. Fortunately, Hector provides backup and shoots Don Valdez in the back. After the intense firefight, the police and medics arrive while Hector is being interviewed. A black police vehicle arrives and a woman exits the car. It's Bryant's wife. After a long time, the two reunite and embrace each other. Later, a group of police officers brings Sonny to a private room. Unexpectedly, the group of police officers turns out to be the L-17, and Bryant smirks as the movie ends.